Roosevelt raised everyone's spirits by his robust response on learning that his opponent was to be Lindbergh, rather than a senator of the stature of Taft, or a prosecutor as aggressive as Dewey, or a big-time lawyer as smooth and handsome as Wilkie. When awakened at 4 a.m. to be told the news, he was said to have predicted from his White House bed, "By the time this is over, the young man will be sorry not only that he entered politics, but that he ever learned to fly," whereupon he fell immediately back into a sound sleep. Or so went the story that brought us such solace the next day. Out on the street, when all anyone could think about was the menace posed to our safety by this transparently unjust affront, people had oddly forgotten about FDR and the bulwark he was against depression. The sheer surprise of the Lindbergh nomination had activated an atavistic sense of being undefeated that had more to do with Kishinev and the pogroms of 1903 than with New Jersey 37 years later. And, as a consequence, they had forgotten about Roosevelt's appointment to the Supreme Court of Felix Frankfurter and his selection as Treasury Secretary of Henry Morgenthau, and about the close presidential advisor financier Bernard Barak, and about Mrs. Roosevelt and Ix and Agriculture Secretary Wallace, all three of whom, like the President, were known to be friends of the Jews. There was Roosevelt, there was the U.S. Constitution, there was the Bill of Rights, and there were the papers. America's free press. Even the Republican Newark Evening News published an editorial reminding readers of the Des Moines speech and openly challenging the wisdom of Lindbergh's nomination, and PM, the new left-wing New York tabloid that cost a nickel and that my father had begun bringing home with him after work, along with the Newark News, and whose slogan read, "PM is against people who push other people around," leveled its assault on the Republicans in a lengthy editorial, as well as in news stories and columns on virtually every one of its 32 pages, including anti-Lindbergh columns in the sports section by Tom Meany and Joe Kaminsky. On the front page of the paper featured a large photo of Lindbergh's Nazi medal, and in its daily picture magazine, where it claimed to run photographs that other papers suppressed, controversial photos of lynch mobs and chain gangs, of strikebreakers wielding clubs, of inhuman conditions in America's penitentiaries. There was page after page showing the Republican candidate touring Nazi Germany in 1938, culminating in the full-page picture of him, the notorious medal around his neck, shaking the hand of Hermann Göring, the Nazi leader second only to Hitler. And there we will pause.